Hello everyone, a very warm welcome or welcome back to Learn Arabic. كيف حالكم؟ أرجو أن تكونوا بخير. We are still in the process of introducing you to sentences, and today's lesson will be an overview of the nominal sentence. Given that we have a lot of ground to cover, let's get straight to the subject. Starting with a quick recapitulation. As previously mentioned, the nominal sentence, or let's say الجملة الاسمية, is a sentence that begins with a noun, and it has two parts, a subject and a predicate. The subject is called المبتدأ, and it's what the sentence is talking about, and the predicate is called الخبر, which literally means a piece of news, and it provides information about or a description of the subject. We also said that the most basic form of nominal sentences is a combination of a noun and an adjective. Our example was الولد صغير. Let's not also forget to point out that syntax-wise, the adjective comes after the noun in Arabic, and that when it comes to definiteness, in this particular type of nominal sentences, the noun has to be definite and the adjective indefinite. There is no way around it. That's it for the sum up. Now on to the new lesson. On the agenda today, we will discover which type of words the subject and the predicate are. We will also learn which case ending should both of them have. And last but not least, we will learn the different types of the subject and the predicate that we will in due course run into as we progress with our study. And even though this last part might be confusing at first, we will have to briefly touch on it in order to be able to show you in which direction this course is heading. So think about it as dropping the other shoe. Either way, you will see what I'm talking about by the end of the lesson, so please bear with us and make sure to keep watching. Back to the lesson, and to begin with, let's answer this question. Which type of words the subject and the predicate are? The criteria we are going to adopt is definiteness, but first thing first, let me remind you that we are still within the limits of the singular form, and that we will focus on the subject and the predicate when they come as a single word. There are definitely more options out there, but we will save them to the last part of the lesson. Now that we have agreed on this, let's answer the question, shall we? Starting with the subject, and I'm glad to inform you that the subject is most of the time definite. There are only a couple of exceptions to this rule, which is neither the place nor the time to touch upon. And by exception I mean indefinite nouns. No need to remind you that verbs are out of question. So again, the subject is oftentimes a definite noun. The reason why beginning with an indefinite noun is not the way to go in the Arabic language, which make definiteness the default state for nouns acting as a subject. And it really makes sense. I mean, how can we provide information or describe something we don't know about, isn't it? Right. Since now we all agree that the subject is a definite noun, let me remind you that we have a full lesson about definite and indefinite nouns, which I will link up. And speaking of, during that lesson we said that there are how many definite nouns? 6. Good on you. Now, since we are talking about one single word subject, and also for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to recall only one of these 6 for the time being, and then get back to all of them at the end of the lesson. You will see why. Okay, the other type of definite nouns we are going to work with, along with the one we already have in our first example, which is nothing but nouns defined with the definite article al, is going to be proper nouns. And to begin with, do you remember what proper nouns are? I'm going to help you. A proper noun is a specific name for a particular person, place, or thing. Let's pick the person, please, and look back at our first example. الولد صغير. Let's suppose that the boy here is called Adam. Since Adam is a definite noun, it can replace الولد and be the new subject. So the sentence will be آدم صغير. One more time. آدم صغير. Adam represents the subject and صغير is our predicate. That's on one hand. On the other hand, if you take a look at the case ending in both of these examples, you will realize that المبتدأ والخبر have the nominative case. ضم for the subject and تنوين الضم for the predicate. And that means two things. Number one, since the predicate i.e. الخبر ends with تنوين, that means that it is indefinite, or let's say نكرة. And that will always be the case aside from one exception, and I really mean like one, that we are going to study along with personal pronouns in the upcoming series. So again, the predicate is indefinite. Moving on to number two, the fact that both subject and predicate took the nominative case in both examples was not a coincidence, quite the opposite. As a matter of fact, المبتدأ والخبر will always have the nominative case. So one more time, المبتدأ is a definite noun and it always has the nominative case. And الخبر is indefinite and it also always has the nominative case. Be careful here, I didn't say noun. You will see why shortly afterwards. So, at this stage, we already provided the answer for the two first questions posed at the beginning of the lesson, and I think that was pretty easy. Now, if we want to put knowledge into practice, we can say, for example, Muradu, which is a masculine name. Please note the nominative case. Muradu is he ذكي or ذكي? ذكي, you've guessed it, because the predicate has to be indefinite, so we definitely need تنوين. And the sentence will be مراد ذكي. Let's do it the other way this time. Topsy-turvy, my friends. لطيفة is our predicate. Please note تنوين الضم as a sign of indefiniteness and of the nominative case as well. Moving on, if we take a look at the subject, which one is the right option? المعلمة or المعلمة? You are absolutely right. المعلمة is our مبتدأ. And either way, المعلمة is not even an option. The reason why, the definite article and تنوين cannot coexist. So just by the looks of it, this option is erroneous. That's it for the examples. Now on to the last section of this lesson, which is all about the different types of the subject and the predicate. Let's begin with the predicate. In a nominal sentence, the predicate i.e. الخبر is indefinite and it has the nominative case. And the only option we have seen so far is when الخبر consists of one single word. We do call it in Arabic الخبر المفرد. Again, الخبر المفرد. However, there are two other options for the predicate. It can either be a semi-sentence, i.e. شبه جملة, which we have already seen. As examples we have الولد في البيت, آدم في البيت, الولد خلف الستار, آدم خلف الستار. Again, الولد في البيت, آدم في البيت, الولد خلف الستار, آدم خلف الستار. And here you can easily spot the change in the case ending of the predicate. I will explain the reason behind that in a couple of minutes. Before that, let's see the last option for the predicate. Last but not least, the predicate can be a sentence, i.e. جملة, and it seems only logical for you to ask which type of sentences, and the answer is both of them. Either a nominal sentence, جملة اسمية, or a verbal sentence, جملة فعلية. And I'm not going to mention any example here simply because the type of nominal and verbal sentences that could act as a predicate is very specific. They should abide by rules related to pronouns which we didn't study yet. So by and large, there are three options for the predicate, either a single word, a semi-sentence, or a sentence. Now what about the subject? Let's see. I would really appreciate if you pay extra attention, please. Since we have settled that al-mubtada has to be a definite noun, we can now recall our lesson about definite nouns. As previously stated, there are 6 categories of definite nouns in Arabic, and they are personal pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, relative pronouns, proper nouns, nouns defined with a definite article al, and last but not least, we have any noun added to one of the 5 above mentioned definite nouns to make a genitive construction, also known as annexation or إضافة. Since all of these are definite nouns, they are potential candidates for the position of the subject within the nominal sentence. And because we didn't study all of these definite nouns yet, what we are going to do is to start exploring all of the remaining options as needed and as encountered in order to increase the range of our options in terms of forming nominal sentences. And what will happen is that the nominative case for the subject and the predicate on an equal footing won't always be visible to the naked eye. Not to mention that once we will learn the dual and plural form as well, you will come to realize that the nominative case can also take another forms, i.e. it's not exclusively represented by dhamma and tanween al-dhamm. And here it stands to reason for you to ask, what's the solution? We really need a compass to show us the right direction. Yes, we definitely do. And our compass is called al-i'rab wal-bina. Let me explain. It's very simple. Al-i'rab is a set of rules that governs the words that inflect to show their position within the sentence. And al-bina is a set of rules that governs the words that don't inflect no matter what their position is within the sentence. And that means that these two combined together will cover all type of words. So again, our plan is to focus more on the category of nouns, al-asma, to enlarge our options and combinations in respect of forming sentences. Then we will in due course start focusing on the dual and plural form as well as al-i'rab wal-bina. And fear not, we are not forgetting about al-harfu wal-fi'lu wal-jumla al-fi'liyah. A fair scope for these is also planned along with a couple of other pleasant surprises along the way. So make sure not to fall behind since we are progressing at a reasonable pace. Right, that was our plan. We really hope it will guide your steps through your journey and make it pleasurable. That brings us to the end of this Introduction to Sentences series. شكرا على حسن استماعكم ومع السلامة.